Hello everyone and welcome to B2B Purchase Procurement series on the X Factor for Indian construction and infra projects. The COVID-19 pandemic has stalled the world economy and the industry in 2020. The industry is still going through challenging times but has also created new ways and means for the industry to survive and surge ahead. The new normal created out of the pandemic has catalyzed technological advancements and innovations. Digitization has played a big role in these developments, and today, digital is the way forward for growth. Now, every industry segment has set its goal and is getting ready to revive and move ahead with confidence created out of these challenges. So, what will be the key that will drive the growth of this segment in the coming years? So delegates, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to our today's distinguished speakers. Mr. Ratan Lal Kashyap, Senior Vice President, Procurement, GR Infra Projects. Mr. Satin Sachdeva, Founder and Secretary General, Construction Equipment Rental Association.
Mr. Ratan, starting with you mentioned about digitalization and automation in procurement. How do you see its impacts on project procurement on day-to-day basis?
In this current era where you have 40-50 projects working all around, decisions being made at site level with whatever delegation of authorities you have, plus decisions being made at a central procurement plus extended procurement at various locations. So this digital platform is very important for us because sitting at a corporate office or being ahead of any organization or being a part of such decision making, you should be very much aware of what is going on in the industry and what is going on within your organization, what decisions are being taken. So today, when it comes to my, I've quoted a small example when it was coming to procurement of Tata spares. And today, if my purchase man is using that B2B platform of eDukaan, so he knows what the quotation is, where the stock is available, when he orders, whether it is delivered in 24 hours time or it will take 10 days time or 3 days time, because there is a commitment on that. Plus, he knows there is an escalation matrix. If it is not delivered within time, you can take it to a next level. So why I'm quoting this example is my purchasers, what his SLA is. If he's received an indent and if he's supposed to deliver that item in 5 days or 3 days, and he knows if the emergency is there, and he has an access of all the inventories at the vendor's places, they can take an appropriate decision rather than asking 10 people, calling 10 people, gentlemen, where the stock is, when can you give him? There could be false commitment also. But he has a live view of the status of everything there. He knows the pricing. He does an automatic price comparison also. So the dependency on the manual phones or emails, is gradually, diluted, let me tell you. So not everybody, now a lot of such OEMs has to come to that forum, a lot of such vendors have to come to that forum because that is a business requirement today. Because my project being L1 out of 35 bidders, being that competitive, and if I'm not able to match the project, if I'm not able to pre-deliver the project, I'm not going to get bonus because the pricing front, I'm not going to make any profit. So this is how the industry has to move, and the industry has to work in sync with my business requirement. So one is there is a role on my part. I should be very clear. Choosing a vendor like who are with my mindset of working. So this is something which I can tell you it is very of great importance today.
It makes a lot of sense especially for large scale operations like what Mr. Sachdeva was mentioning. When you have a large fleet of equipment, yes, without digitalization, it's next to impossible in new era. What about people who are in small scale operations? How do you see that? How far digitalization will be affordable for them? Or is it advisable for them to move ahead with that?
Sir, there are a lot of such forums, platforms available today. Possibly you need to connect those people. There are a lot of small e-procurement or e-negotiations platform, which is hardly costing you 5 to 7 lakh rupees or maybe 10 lakh rupees per annum. So, and gives you a industry benchmark from the point of view, they give you, a database, they give you and the best practices when it comes to industry. So I think it is more into like, I mean, you get good people on board because, yeah, I mean, you need to have good people because if you continue the work you are working, you cannot change. So that change management has to happen. And there are a lot of such solutions because in the last 2 years, industry has picked up and a lot of such people, whether it is domestic in-house, whether it is abroad, they have come up. See, even yesterday I was interacting with an agency where they say, sir, I have a solution where, a pre-procurement, I can get everything done for you. If you want an integration with the ERP, if you want to do an integration with the vendors portal, I can do that. And the cost is not really very high. So it is a matter of exploring, I mean, with whatever capacity you have and having good people on board, to be very honest, who come with that mindset.
Yeah, so you suggest it is better to go to a consultant, and who will suggest how to start with digitalization at the premise?
Not always consultants, sir. I mean, based on, if you don't have a very complicated business, possibly you don't need a consultant. The vendor who is actually offering that solution to you can help you. So it can always be in phasing. Not necessarily you go full-fledged. You can always have a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 and when it comes to touch points. So the critical points you can address in the first phase, and then gradually you can move on to balance integrations when you want to.
Yeah, so you say that even vendors can help. People who come with the solutions can help to implement this strategy at in your business. Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ratanji. I am sure that this information must be very useful for people who are running traditional businesses and want to move their business into new era or new world.
Mr. Satyan, you mentioned that rental business is a capital intensive business. So how, in the present situation, how is the rental industry dealing with the financial recovery? And what kind of government policies are helping this sector to gain confidence?
Yeah, sure, Megha. Would like to add on something to Ratanji's this thing. Fortunately, we have a lot of e-procurement companies with, there are a lot of ERP companies wherein it is in different language. I mean, we are a diversified country, and we do. A lot of platforms they are offering different languages also. So even it is in Hindi or Urdu or everything. There are a lot of platforms which is readily available offering all these languages. So it is certainly a user-friendly interfaces nowadays. And adding on to rentals and you touched this sensitive part of it, which is recovery. So this is the biggest issue as if now for rental industry, and rental is not a capital intensive proposition. Rather, buying an equipment is a very capital intensive thing. So then we recommend that don't buy. Better if you can rent it out or lease it out for a longer term, or even if it is for a shorter term, better to rent it out. Why to block your cash flows? Already the recoveries are bad, even for the contractors, not just for a rental company. It is a supply chain. The entire supply chain is being affected with the bad recoveries. Although we have a lot of money popping in, coming up in a very big way, but still there is a major issue in terms of recoveries, for which SERA is already doing an advocacy with all the big government councils and with Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Road, Transportation, and with everyone. We are regularly writing to them. We are meeting them. In fact, we are meeting National Highway Authority people. All the senior management we are meeting, and just to design something wherein if we can come up with some sort of a technology or a blockchain where we can have the NOC from the vendors, because if you are making a payment to an infrastructure company or a corporate or anything, or to some petty contractors, even in case of PWD, CPWD, this is just fine. But please make sure whether that company, they have paid up their dues or not, so that the supply chain will be intact with that. So, and we are writing every single week, we are writing to all these government agencies, government bodies, everywhere we are writing hard. Recovery is really an issue, and I hope that very soon with the help of government bodies and government at place will definitely be able to come out with some good solutions.
Mr. Sachdeva, thank you for mentioning about recovery as a critical aspect. And you also mentioned that there is definitely something that triggers behind for the breakdown in financial situation. What do you see? What is the real issue behind there? Is it a cash flow matters, or is it something like that? Majority of the infrastructure projects where we hear that a lot of bills are yet to get cleared, or is it something which is impacting the developers?
See, again, this is another sensitive matter. So whenever we are speaking about recoveries, we are not really naming anyone, and we are not mentioning any of a particular company. So this is what general things are happening. And it's not just, the payment got stuck. It is, there is a delay in, recoveries. So sometimes there is a delay of 6 months, even 1 year, which is not really expected from, I just, again, don't want to name the companies, but everybody is aware of it. So I hope things will be better soon, and we are working very hard on it. And this is also would like to comment something on the tendering part of it. The tenders are going below 20%, 30%. I don't know. Maybe we are too young to speak on this matter. This is again another critical and sensitive part of it. But if the tendering is going that below, so it will certainly be affecting the entire chain, the entire supply chain. How will a contractor be able to, release that money if he's not having that right margins, So recently I've just going through a few tenders, so that was below 38%, 38% below, 37% below. So that's, that is really making an impact, and you'll definitely going to see an impact within a year or maybe in a couple of years. Definitely this impact will come. So vendors will be deeply affected, which we really don't want, and we really don't appreciate this kind of thing. But then it is a bigger thing and very sensitive part of it. But I think somewhere in the supply chain, the entire supply chain, there is some neglect, some issues are there which need to be addressed by the major bodies only. We are here with you, all the stakeholders, and we are really willing to give the best of the services. This is what we are doing. For a rental company, equipment part is more than 90%. So the bread and butter is the whole day. He has nothing else to do but to take care of that equipment. Yeah. And the margins are not that much, and we are working on a very thin margins. And when somebody is working on a very thin margins, at least understand we need to pay GST on time. It is again another critical issues. We need to pay that installments, bank installments, which is huge. So it's always funded. These are very capital intensive equipment. It starts from 20-30 lakhs, and then it goes up to even 10, 15, 20 crores. And fortunately, rental companies are now buying highly capital intensive equipment. Even I've recently been through one company who bought an asset worth 15 crores, a rental company in India. So that's, so that way rental companies are really picking up in a very big way. But then rental industry is seeking a support from all the stakeholders, from government bodies, at least in the terms of recovery. So this is what we always talk about. Yeah, you really thrown lights to the significance of,
so you can say survival of this business, or hoping that a significant correction will happen in this area of vulnerability, what you mentioned about, especially about the margin aspect. Mr. Kashyap, it may not be very critical as of now for our country, but we are seeing globally there is an energy crisis emerging. And we are hearing news from China, hearing news from Western countries about the energy crisis, what they are dealing. How it is going to create an impact for Indian projects in future time or in coming days?
Sir, it's an everyday article. If you look off the recent thing which is impacted is on the coal. So I don't know what is the international reason for that, but somehow, people have a different story. But as a professional, let me tell you, it's impacting you in a very huge way. So if you look at the last 2 years pricing, so the bitumen which you were buying at say 22 rupees a kilo is now 40 rupees a kilo. So the volumes which companies like us is quite huge. It actually impacts your cash flow. The steel which you're buying 33 rupees a kilo is actually a 52 rupees a kg today. Similarly, I mean, if you talk of cement or if you talk of HST or fuel, so these are the few of the major components which are being used in the Indian industry. Now, every day you don't see it stopping. So there should be a point where it should come to a standstill. So whether it is an international factor now, if you really look at the pricing of steel today in India, I mean, especially companies who own their own iron ore or have their own coal mines. So possibly, I mean, the input cost has not gone that high that you should increase the price to 60%. So there has to be some mechanism, some control from the government side also. International priorities were the main criteria where they wanted to bring in the price front, because when the export was feasible, so the domestic market becomes secondary for them. So because the accruals, the profit margins which they have in the supply overseas is quite high. And China factor today, I mean, it is proved that you are quite dependent on them, whether it comes to a microchip, whether it comes to steel, whether it comes to other components, a lot of machines and equipments which possibly were either the company was an European, but their manufacturing hub was in China. Plus the logistics aspect, if you look at, I mean, if you talk of any specific shipping line company, I mean, used to get a container at $2,200 from Europe. And today, if you ask them, they would have around 10,000 or 12,000 euros to transport a container. So it is more of a demand supply gap where people are trying to gain benefit on this. So yes, energy somehow, whether it is the HSD cost, whether it is the coal cost, whether it is other relevant fuel which is cost, so it is impacting your transportation, it is impacting your logistics cost, it is impacting your cost of productivity. So we being the end users, we are very hugely impacted. So not very having a very healthy escalation clause in the type of projects we do. There are a lot of projects which are on fixed price with no much escalations on that. So very meager part of that is, so actually, I mean, it's a huge challenge for us being L1 out of the 35 bidders. Like Mr. Satyan said, people are bidding 40% lower. So looking forward in the next 3 years or 5 years time, we'll have a lot of such scaling or screening of those players. And there will be a lot of defaults happening of bad quality roads which we made. So there should be some mechanism from the government where you screen out your bidding criteria has to be back to pre-COVID levels. Your bidding criteria has to be scrutinized. A player who is not performed well, he's already in a dispute. You cannot afford to onboard them in the near future. So actually, it's a web, sir. I mean, if the payments are not done, the equipment rental company, equipment manufacturer, the professionals, the leasing companies, everybody in the supply chain is impacted there. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, you did answer very well, as it is so scary that when you are picturizing, portraying the impact, how each segment of projects are going to deal with, especially end of the day, the project costing is definitely going to go up, and that is not a good picture. Absolutely. Yes, Mr. Sachdeva, do you want to share your views on this? How?
Yeah, as Mr. Ratan said it right, we totally agree with him. See, the commodities has picked up. It is so expensive now. There is a variation of 25%. The prices has gone up in terms of manpower, in terms of commodities like steel, cement. Everything has gone up. After this, during this COVID era. So it is certainly an issue, a very big issue for a company like GR Infra or even L&T or any of these companies. We are certainly with all the stakeholders. But we need to have the right combination, the right if we can we should all be working hard together for this cause, and if we can come out with some solution, we'll definitely be representing it to the government bodies. This is certainly a need of an hour.
But do you doubt any kind of speculative trading inside in this? It's an off-the-beat question, but still.
No comments. You're going too sensitive,
I completely. I got that. Thank you so much.
You're going too sensitive. It is always. It's a democracy. So everybody has right to speak anything and do whatever they want to do. But let's do it together in the most, legalized way and official way.
We were talking about the cost of machine. So when we say, we see BS4 machines being introduced into the market. So how this BS4 has pushed the cost of equipment? So how is the rental companies going to cope up with it?
Yeah, it is certainly be making and the impact has started, so because the machines are now going expensive to around 10 to 15% expensive with this BS4 coming up. And yes, I mean, it's time that rentals should also be, gone up by another 10, 15%. Otherwise, it will be hard to survive. I mean, this is already what I've always said, that we are already working on a very thin margins. And looking at the scenario of this price rise, I think rentals will also be picking up. I mean, there'll also be there'll be a difference of 10 to 15% gap should all. I think it will pick up also, because otherwise it will be a very expensive affair even for the contractors and for the rental companies both. So, but with this, I can see an opportunity for rental companies. Not everyone is gonna buy these machines now, and rather taking it on rent is a wise decision. We still have a lot of rental companies maybe who cannot escalate the prices. So you have an opportunity, Mr. Ratanlal. So there is always there's a opportunity. But then with these kind of price rise, I think rentals will also be pick up in recent times. Maybe in this month's time, because it is already going expensive, very expensive. I've heard that some of the OEMs, they are escalating it to 20%. So this 20% escalation is not good for any of the industry, not for the rental companies or even the contractors. So it will definitely be affecting the rentals. It will definitely be affecting the rentals and the decision for buying versus rent. So I think with this, penetration will pick up and will definitely be touching around 50% of penetration all across India. It is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so it is an opportunity for rental companies to pick up well, So we are all in a buying spree, we will definitely be buying all these machines and then give it on rent for a long term. Yeah.
Talking about nice that you mentioned about the technology advanced new equipments. Talking about BS4 or BS5, Mr. Kashyap, you have a huge, say fleet of equipments presently maintaining. So how do you see? Is there any way vehicle scrap policy sort of stuffs are going to impact say older or aged equipments?
If at all you have to meet those international pact which government has made in terms of pollution, so there has to be a few hard decisions which needs to be taken. So especially if I find LMV and all, it's a general commuter who is actually impacted. But when it comes to equipment, it very much depends on the company's policy also, sir. So today, if a machine which is 15 years old and needs to be scrapped, and if the machine utilization is quite high, in that case, possibly we also in our company, we tend to scrap or sell that machine and buy you as a replacement a new machine. That's our internal policy at times we follow. So machine where the cost of maintenance is very high and the fuel cost is very high. And there are a lot of such parameters where Mr. Satin said when he's renting out, the age of the equipment is also inquired. Especially today, if I'm making a elevated structure and the weight of that structure is very high, which needs to be lifted by a crane. So as it is, I mean, if it's a crane which is very old, you're not allowed to do that. In spite, I mean, you might have a test certificate stating like. So yes, definitely for equipments which are of very high value will definitely make an impact. So if it's a crane which is maybe 700 tons or 500 tons or 1,000 tons, and if you're trying to scrap that, possibly, because the utilization of those machines are very less. So maybe, I mean, if you talk of the monthly utilization, it will be hardly running for 15 or 50 or 100 hours. In that case, yes, definitely it is going to impact. But other than that, like if it is an excavator or if it is a grader or if it is, a normal machine. So as it is, if it is clocking 15,000 hours or 20,000 hours in 10 years time, you tend to, replace that machine. So, but yes, again, it has to be scrapped rather than resold it. So your realization value, your scrap value might be not the way you are gaining today as a replacement, because today as a policy, we always buy branded equipments, and branded equipments, the reason to buy branded equipments is the resale value is quite good in that case.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for Mr. Sachdeva and Mr. Kashyap for exploring the X factor in construction and infrastructure segment, and most of them we could able to hear about technology as an X factor. Also, you mentioned about the financial feasibility of projects as an X factor. You also mentioned about making successful projects as an X factor. Mentioned about how technology can use for small and big entities to make their business as an X factor. And we are also eagerly listening to other industry players, other leaders from this industry to talk about, in their view, what is going to be the X factor for construction infrastructure business.
We hope you have enjoyed the session. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Ratan Lal and Mr. Satyen Sachdev. I would also like to thank Associate Editor of B2B Purchase, Ms. Megha, and our editor, Mr. Prasad Nair, for taking this initiative. We would like our delegates and viewers to stay connected to us on our social media handles. B2B Purchase is available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Additionally, you can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. So with this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.